Father Shane has that rare, strong and stable energy that holds fear and chaos together. And he manages then to draw new life and fresh hope for our world, and particularly for our most vulnerable young people. This generation needs to meet real heroes, people who have embraced the fullness of life, reflected on their struggles, and yet continue to say yes. They continue to live with passion and conviction and inspire in all of us a belief that we can create a better world. We're delighted that Martin could be with us this evening as well to support Shay. And the book, The Passion and the Power, make a great Christmas gift. Now, I'm more used to calling people aside than to speak in public. So, without any further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Martin, who will stay with us for a little while this evening. He does have to leave early, he has a prior engagement. So thank you, Martin.
Thanks. My prior engagement is an early class tomorrow morning at NUI. Whenever I'm asked to speak in public since my country invaded Iraq, I've addressed every crowd with a poem, a prayer really for our country, meaning my country, and I'd like to share it with you now. To begin, we could use it as an invocation, if you will, despite the fact that our honored guest is ordained. Where the heart is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depths of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sands of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father. Let my country awake. Amen. That brief poem was written by Rabindranath Tagore. Any of you who are studying English literature or anything about India will recognize the name. He's the Indian poet laureate. He died in 1940, but he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1917. He was a great friend of Mahatma Gandhi, and he supported independence, and he was a nonviolent advocate for change. I learned that poem while I was in India in 1981 doing a small part in the film Gandhi. And I see from some of the faces that rings a bell, it's familiar. And it should be. It was a very, very successful picture all over the world. But nowhere was it more successful than in my community, in Hollywood. Everyone in Hollywood loved Gandhi. Everyone in Hollywood wanted to be just like Gandhi. Thin, tan, and moral. It's a lot of fun being here in Galway, and I'm very honored to have been allowed to study at a great university, besides this one, not too far, on the other side of the river. And I'm getting a lot of strange reactions from people. Celebrity has its advantages, but there are some disadvantages, and sometimes they come out in the funniest ways. A few weeks ago, I was on my way to Spain, flying out of Shannon Airport, and as I was walking to my plane, a fellow passenger came along the side and said, "Good morning, Mr. President, Air Force One in the shop." My favorite story about being out in public as a celebrity was one day my wife and I were walking down the street in Santa Monica, California, and two very young preteen girls were coming our way, and I could see behind their eyes they recognized me, and I was prepared for their adulation. And sure enough, they walked past, but then they came rushing back again and said, oh, dear sir, gosh, we recognize you, we love you, you're our favorite actor in all the world, could we please have your autograph? I said, of course, give us some paper and a writing stick, and they did, and what's your name? All the best, and what's your name? All the best, and off they went, and as they went away, we heard one little girl say to the other, "I can't make out his handwriting. Who did you say he was?" I'm honored to be here tonight and introduce one of my friends and a personal hero. It seems whenever you go into the third world, inevitably you'll find an Irishman or an Irish woman there doing the work that we are commanded to do by the gospel. The command of Isaiah says that we must beat swords into plowshares and to study no war no more. But before Isaiah, there was a famous Greek philosopher and poet named Aeschylus who said, "We are made to help make gentle the life of the world." I had the honor of first meeting Father Shea in the Philippines at the Prida Foundation in Olongapo. I was familiar with Olongapo from years previous to that as I filmed nearby in a little town called Iba when we were doing the film Apocalypse Now in 1976 and 1977. We had a mutual friend in Father John Deere, another great advocate for peace and social justice, a young Jesuit who had met Father Shea. And when he learned that I was going to the Philippines, he said, "Look him up. This is one of the heroes." And I did, and I was not disappointed. Again, going into the darkest, most difficult places in the world, you'll usually find an Irish man or an Irish woman there at the command of the gospel. And such a one as Father Shea. I'm delighted to try to assist him, at least to accompany him as he does this promotional tour for his autobiography. I would urge you to read it. It is a powerful story and an inspiring one, and he will tell you more about that. So with no further ado, can I introduce my dear friend and my hero, Father Shea Cullen.
Thank you for all that. I don't think I'm deserving of this terrific introduction. Anyway, Martin, thank you for being with us in the solidarity. I was saying only last week, I was doing a saying Mass in Greystones and Wicklow, and it was Mission Sunday. But I was telling everybody, look, you look at me, we're here, it's Mission Sunday, so you have a missionary. But in fact, every one of us has a mission. We are all, in a way, a mission for life, a mission to support human rights, the dignity of the human being, no matter where it is violated, no matter where there is a great need. Every one of us have this duty. And the fact that so many people fail to act and to respond to the defense of human rights means that it goes on unabated. It means that the abusers can do what they like, because some of us, maybe too many of us, stay silent. And think about it, silence is a form of consent. We are unknowingly allowing evil to get power. And as they said, it only takes good people to do nothing so that evil will triumph. And so we can't allow that to happen. There's many kinds of evil in the world. It's not out there in the developing world, it's not only somewhere else. The struggle for good and evil goes on every day in life. The mission we have in our lives, of course, is to restore and strengthen the dignity of every human being. Christianity is about one thing. Christianity is about working for justice. All love, all relationships, everything is based on that one deepest concept of the gospel, that justice for all, justice for each one in our family, in our community, in the world. And my mission is basically exactly that, working for justice and truth. I want to let you know that, the issue which I will talk about tonight is basically some of the events in my life. But we will start at the one that is most pressing and the work of many, the last few years. We have worked, as you know, some are aware of our campaign in the Philippines to stem the sex tourism, the exploitation of the poor, the terrible imprisonment of children. So why, I will explain later, the root causes of this exploitation, and I'm going to explain some of the reasons why children are in prison and what we do to rescue them and to change as much as we can, and the success that we have achieved. And the hope that that gives in situations of great human suffering and situations that seem hopeless and powerless. Our story tells that we can overcome. We can win out in the greatest situations of what seems to be hopeless, but it never is.